Have you ever felt that quiet, unsettling pull, that deep intuition that you're meant for something more, but a pervasive sense of self-doubt or the subtle pressures of conformity keep you perpetually playing small? Perhaps in the stillness of the night, you wonder if you've been living a life prescribed by others, smiling through conversations that feel hollow, or pretending to care about things that don't truly resonate with your soul. Many of us, particularly as we navigate the complexities of our mid-30s and 40s, find ourselves at a crossroads, yearning for a deeper sense of purpose and authenticity. We strive to be good enough, strong enough, or capable enough, but often the weight of external opinions and the fear of failure hold us firmly back, leaving us feeling trapped in a cycle of hesitation and missed opportunities. What if the path to true inner strength isn't about conforming or seeking external validation, but about cultivating an unshakable mindset that, by its very nature, inspires a profound and quiet respect, a strength so authentic that it might even subtly unsettle those around you, not because you seek to dominate, but because you simply cannot be controlled? In a world that often feels chaotic, where quick reactions, impulsive anger, and a pervasive tendency to give up seem to define the norm, what if you could cultivate a presence so grounded, so profoundly steady that nothing could truly shake it? Imagine a mind immune to petty criticism, unwavering in the face of failure, and resolute against temptation. This isn't about feigning strength or projecting an intimidating persona. It's about embodying an inner resilience forged through consistent self-mastery. As we juggle demanding careers, evolving family dynamics, and the constant barrage of information, maintaining inner stability can feel like a Herculean task. Yet, the timeless wisdom of Stoicism offers a battle-tested toolkit, practiced by emperors and everyday people alike, designed to help you master your emotions, build unwavering discipline, and see the world with profound clarity. It's about becoming someone who doesn't just react to the world, but thoughtfully chooses their response, becoming a quiet, formidable force that's almost impossible to bring down. Are you ready to truly break free from the invisible chains of seeking approval from the exhausting performance of a life not entirely your own? For those of us in the 35 to 45 age bracket, this often means confronting the subtle ways we've shrunk ourselves, holding back our authentic growth just to keep others comfortable. We may find ourselves tired of pretending to care about trivial matters or smiling when our hearts feel empty. This isn't a sign of being cold. It's a deep yearning to stop being a background character in someone else's emotional drama. What if the power to truly transform your life, to build a mind so strong it commands respect, lies not in external achievements or public validation, but in a quiet, internal revolution, a decision to own your life completely, to face pain head-on and to think critically when others blindly follow? This path is demanding, but it promises a profound sense of freedom and an unshakable inner core that will stand the test of time. Welcome to StoicCraft, where we uncover the enduring power of Stoic philosophy to help you forge a mind so steady, so unshakable, that it commands a quiet, profound respect. If you're ready to cultivate inner control, clarity, and discipline, and become the most formidable version of yourself, then you've come to the right place. Join us as we explore how a truly strong mind doesn't roar for attention, but rather stands silently unmoving while the world trembles around it. 1. The mind shift that changes everything. If you aspire to cultivate a mind so remarkably strong that it genuinely makes others pause, then your journey doesn't begin with a frantic effort to power up or forcefully dominate. It begins profoundly with the courageous act of letting go, specifically letting go of the deeply ingrained, pervasive illusion that life is somehow obligated to be effortlessly easy. The very root of much of our suffering, both minor and profound, stems directly from the misguided belief that everything should always unfold smoothly, simply and most conveniently, precisely according to our individual desires. People are not fundamentally wounded by the inherent events of life themselves. They are, more often than not, deeply hurt by their own internal thoughts and rigid beliefs that those events shouldn't have happened. This pervasive misconception is the very first mental trap, the formidable wall that must unequivocally fall. Before genuine growth can truly begin, we grow up in a world that subtly, yet relentlessly, promises comfort, ease, and instant gratification. This societal narrative, while comforting on the surface, inadvertently blinds us to the profound, transformative power of adversity. When we cling to the fantasy of an unblemished, struggle-free existence, every single obstacle, every minor setback feels like a monumental, unfair burden. But Stoicism, with its ancient yet incredibly relevant wisdom, offers a different, far more empowering perspective. It illuminates a path where challenges are not merely to be endured, but to be actively embraced as indispensable catalysts for growth and self-mastery. True strength isn't born from the absence of hardship. It is meticulously forged within the crucible of discomfort, confusion, and the long, sleepless nights spent grappling with the unknown. These moments of inner turmoil are not indicative of weakness. They are, in fact, the raw, fundamental material, the very clay, from which a deeper, more resilient, and ultimately stronger version of yourself is painstakingly formed. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, profoundly understood this when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't suggesting that difficulties magically vanish. Rather, he was brilliantly highlighting our innate capacity to strategically transform perceived obstacles into invaluable stepping stones. When you consciously choose to reframe your perception of problems from insurmountable barriers to essential challenges, the entire landscape of your inner world shifts. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this? How can I use this to grow stronger?" Consider for a moment the profound courage of someone like Emily Dickinson or Nikola Tesla. They didn't seek easy paths or constant external validation. They embraced periods of profound solitude and relentless intellectual pursuit, often misunderstood and at odds with the prevailing norms of their time. Their strength wasn't born from a comfortable, applause-filled environment. It was meticulously forged in moments where no one else truly understood them, yet they steadfastly refused to fold or compromise their vision. They deliberately stepped away from the pervasive noise of the crowd, and in that profound solitude, they discovered a razor-sharp clarity that allowed their ideas and words to shape the modern world for centuries to come. this first mind shift. This fundamental reorientation of your perspective demands a quiet yet radical honesty with yourself. It asks you to confront your deepest fears, to sit with your rawest thoughts without scrambling to fill the silence or escape the discomfort. If you cannot comfortably sit alone with yourself, if you constantly need the approval or presence of the crowd to feel whole, then you will perpetually remain a hostage to external circumstances, never truly strong enough to become the person you are truly meant to be. This crucial initial step, the courageous act of letting go of the illusion of ease, is the foundational bedrock upon which a truly unshakable mind is built. It's the moment you stop waiting for life to be easy and begin, instead, to cultivate the inner fortitude to thrive regardless of its inherent challenges. 2. Your change will threaten others when you courageously begin to change, even in seemingly small, subtle ways, perhaps by shifting your perspective, speaking more thoughtfully, choosing to decline pointless social engagements, or offering more profound insights and conversations. This growth, however quiet, can often make the people around you profoundly uncomfortable. It's not that you've done anything inherently wrong. Rather, your personal evolution, however subtle, acts like a powerful, unsolicited mirror, starkly reflecting their own stagnation, their own unspoken fears, and their own unaddressed potential. And human beings, by their very nature, often recoil from mirrors that reveal aspects of themselves they are not proud to confront. You've likely experienced this phenomenon before. Perhaps you started reading more, embraced a minimalist lifestyle, or consciously chose to stop complaining and actively take responsibility for your choices. You might have optimistically expected encouragement, perhaps even shared excitement, but instead you were met with thinly veiled, half-joking comments like, "Getting too deep for us, huh?" Or "Since when did you get all philosophical?" Or, even worse, you were met with a chilling silence and a profound disinterest when you attempted to share something genuinely meaningful. It's not that your choices were wrong. It's that your growth, your newfound clarity, subtly yet powerfully forced them to confront themselves. Mental growth, particularly when it's authentic and profound, is inherently quiet, yet remarkably powerful. It's akin to flipping on a bright light in a dimly lit room. The light itself doesn't speak, but suddenly, everything within that space becomes undeniably visible. And if someone has grown accustomed to and comfortable in the concealing darkness, that sudden burst of light can feel uncomfortably harsh, even threatening. This phenomenon, often described in social psychology as groupthink, is a pervasive mechanism that subtly yet effectively keeps everyone aligned on the surface to preserve a collective sense of comfort and safety within a group. In a social environment where complaining is the accepted norm, the first individual who bravely chooses to remain quiet and actively seek solutions is often branded as weird, distant, or even, in extreme cases, dangerous. This is not because they are inherently wrong, but because they audaciously disrupt the existing, comfortable order. And by its very nature, all genuine evolution represents a subtle yet undeniable threat to what no longer serves us. History is replete with compelling examples of this principle. Consider Socrates, who was tragically sentenced to death not, as the charges claimed, because he was corrupting the youth of Athens, but because he fearlessly forced society to confront its profound delusions, its unquestioned blind beliefs, and its pervasive lazy thinking. He committed no violent acts, stole nothing, yet through his relentless probing questions, he compelled people to truly think, and that alone deeply terrified those in power. The same uncomfortable truth unfolded with Malcolm X when he bravely shifted his message from an exclusive black nationalism to a broader, more inclusive humanist vision. He was not only hated by the oppressive system, but was also tragically viewed as a traitor by his very own allies. Sometimes profound personal growth undeniably makes you a quiet threat to your old tribe. So this prompts a crucial, deeply personal question. How many times have you consciously held back your own growth, minimized your potential, or deliberately shrunk your authentic self just to ensure the comfort and approval of others? How often have you traded your genuine self for a fleeting sense of safety or the transient validation of someone else's approval? Here's a liberating truth that most people might hesitate to tell you. The very individuals you meticulously try to please today might, paradoxically, be the first ones to abandon you when life inevitably throws its inevitable curveballs, and things fall apart. Yet the profound inner strength you diligently build, even if forged in moments of quiet solitude, is precisely what will ultimately save you. Therefore, do not, under any circumstance, shrink back simply because others are not yet ready to courageously move forward. No one truly grows without consciously leaving some shadows of their past self behind. And if, in your journey of personal evolution, you find yourself experiencing a sense of loneliness, remember the timeless wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. When others feel uncomfortable with your growth, resist the urge to over-explain or to beg for their understanding. Instead, remain quietly steadfast and simply keep going. Authentic change requires no external validation. It eloquently speaks through its inherent results and the profound inner peace it generates. A strong mind is not defined by its ability to avoid resistance. It is defined by its unwavering capacity to persist despite it. Not everyone is ready for the new, but if you are, stop seeking permission. Just move. 3. Let go of needing approval. People, by their very nature, often fear what they cannot understand or, more crucially, what they cannot control. A truly free mind, one that operates entirely independent of the incessant need for external approval or permission, is perhaps the most unsettling presence to the average crowd. This is because such a mind refuses to play by the conventional, unspoken rules of conformity. When you consciously liberate yourself from the relentless pursuit of validation, you become inherently unpredictable. And to society, in its vast amorphous conformity, that unpredictability can feel like a genuine threat. Not because you are inherently dangerous, but because your very existence, your self-contained autonomy, subtly forces others to courageously confront the very things they have painstakingly avoided within themselves. Friedrich Nietzsche, that profound philosopher, eloquently coined the term Übermensch, often translated as overman or superman, to describe an individual who transcends conventional herd morality and consciously lives by a value system of their own discerning creation. This Brahmensch does not timidly ask, "Am I allowed to do this?" Instead, with unwavering conviction, they ask, "Is this truly worthy of me?" Much like an experienced mountain climber does not seek directions from someone passively seated in the valley below, a truly strong individual does not wait for external approval before making their decisive move. They have, in essence, consciously departed from the familiar land of acceptable and bravely entered the untamed, exhilarating territory of authentic. Consider this deeply. How many times have you ceased doing something you genuinely wanted to pursue simply because someone else expressed disapproval? Have you ever deleted a social media post because you inwardly feared that no one will care? The fundamental question is not how frequently you engage in self-censorship, but rather whose life are you truly living? When your ingrained need for external recognition becomes the primary driving force behind your behavior, you are no longer truly at the helm of your own life. You become, in essence, a puppet, meticulously dressed up in the illusion of an independent mind. Stoic philosophy offers a liberating antidote. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. This profound wisdom reveals a crucial truth. Genuine growth unequivocally demands the courage to occasionally appear wrong or unconventional. That precisely is the often unseen price of true freedom. The less you genuinely need external approval, the greater your capacity to consistently do what is unequivocally right, even when it's unpopular. However, society often subtly resists this liberation, because if you powerfully demonstrate that it's genuinely possible to stand alone, others are then implicitly forced to confront the uncomfortable truth that they themselves are not. Mediocrity, ironically, does not require weapons. It merely requires widespread consensus. It subtly employs pitying glances, seemingly practical advice, and quiet mockery to gently, yet effectively, pull you back down into the fold. This isn't born of malice, but because your unwavering confidence subtly makes others feel smaller. By comparison, Nietzsche termed this slave morality, a system where the weak paradoxically reframe their failures as virtues. When you are strong and independent, they may label you as cold or selfish. But remember, you were not born with the inherent purpose of pleasing everyone. History provides powerful illustrations. Galileo was condemned for proclaiming that the earth revolved around the sun, a truth that initially lacked popular approval. Rosa Parks, by her quiet yet resolute refusal to yield her seat, bravely forced an entire nation to confront its deeply ingrained racial injustice. Real power often does not manifest as a loud shout. Sometimes it is the quiet, unwavering refusal to flinch when the entire world around you trembles. Here's a simple yet incredibly revealing challenge to discern how deeply your actions are still shaped by the eyes of others. Consciously choose to eat alone at your favorite restaurant or coffee shop. Leave your phone, your headphones, and any pretense of being busy at home. Just sit still. The discomfort that invariably creeps in during that experience isn't genuine loneliness. It is more accurately the subtle fear of being perceived as lonely by others. But if you bravely push through that initial discomfort, you will discover that the very first taste of true freedom emerges from being profoundly at peace with how others choose to see you. Ask yourself this critical question. If your work, your efforts, your creations were never posted online and told to no one, would they still feel inherently meaningful to you? If your honest answer is no, then perhaps you are inadvertently purring life rather than truly living it. You might be akin to a farmer who plants for social media likes instead of nourishing fruit. The Bible offers profound guidance. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You don't need to engage in a battle with the world. You simply need the unwavering courage to live differently. This transformation begins with the liberating act of letting go of the crowd's applause. If you genuinely desire to build a mind that subtly unsettles others in the most positive sense, begin by meticulously defining your own core values. Do not simply borrow your morals from the fleeting majority. Do not wait for external permission to move forward. Instead, let every single action you take serve as an answer to one profound question. Does this make me a better, more authentic version of myself? And when you can stand tall, self-reliant, without leaning on the fragile crutch of praise, you are not merely formidable. You are truly, profoundly free. 4. Own your life completely. You do not need to raise your voice to inspire respect or to command attention. Simply remaining calm when everyone else around you is reacting impulsively is a profound demonstration of power. In a world perpetually driven by knee-jerk reflexes, the individual who consciously pauses to think before acting is often the most dangerous person in any room, not because they are aggressive, but because they are utterly unpredictable to those who rely on emotional manipulation. This profound inner strength begins the moment you bravely accept a hard, often uncomfortable truth. No one but you is ultimately responsible for your life. In the profound tapestry of Stoic philosophy, there is a central and recurring concept known as logos. This refers to the rational order, the inherent logic that fundamentally governs the universe. Everything, according to this philosophy, operates according to a certain underlying logic, whether you personally like it or not. However, logos is not synonymous with rigid, unchangeable fate. It represents the setting in which life unfolds. How you choose to act, how you choose to respond within that setting, that is entirely your choice. You might, for instance, unexpectedly lose your job, face betrayal, or be profoundly misunderstood. Those are the world's part of the equation. Your part, your profound responsibility, is how you choose to respond. And your response, in its very essence, is a powerful, personal declaration of your inner strength and unwavering autonomy. We often mistakenly conflate faith or hope with a passive surrender, as if simply living well automatically guarantees that life itself will always go smoothly. But genuine maturity, true wisdom, begins the very moment you consciously let go of that comforting, but ultimately false belief. It's the pivotal moment when you look honestly into the mirror and ask, if no one else helps me, how far can I truly help myself? That precise moment when you cease frantically looking outward for external reasons or blame and courageously begin to take absolute control of what genuinely lies within your sphere of influence. That is when you truly begin to grow strong. when Nietzsche famously declared that God is dead, he wasn't celebrating atheism or reveling in nihilism. He was, in fact, issuing a profound warning. He essentially threw a metaphorical bomb into humanity's traditional moral foundations, declaring that from that point forward, there would be no external guide, no convenient scapegoat, no preordained will of God, no fixed destiny, and no higher power to definitively define right and wrong for you. You, he asserted, are now solely steering the ship of your life, and you are also the only one to unequivocally blame when it inevitably hits the rocks. It is a stark, lonely truth, but within it lies an immense, unadulterated power. Jean-Paul Sartre, the existentialist philosopher, took this concept even further with his iconic statement, "Man is condemned to be free." This sounds like a profound paradox. How can freedom, the very thing we innately crave, possibly be a condemnation or a sentence? It is because, without a divine entity, without a pre-written destiny, without an explicit instruction manual for life, every single decision you make becomes critically important, and no one else can truly take the fall for it but you. You cannot authentically blame your parents, society, or external circumstances. Freedom in its rawest form is a profound burden. You possess the inherent right to rewrite your entire story, but you also, paradoxically, lose the right to complain if the ending turns out to be unsatisfying or disappointing. If this truth feels heavy, good. It is supposed to. That precisely is the true price of authentic freedom. And if you possess the unwavering courage to carry this profound burden, you will transform into the kind of individual others genuinely don't know how to handle. They will find they cannot lure you with fleeting rewards or scare you with the threat of loss. They simply cannot control you, and that unyielding autonomy will profoundly unsettle them. So where do you begin this journey of radical self-ownership? Start by consciously dropping all your long-held excuses, such as "I'm this way because of my childhood, or because of society, or because they just don't understand me." You are not simply that way. You conscious Lycos to be that way. And with the same inherent capacity, you can bravely choose to be different. But this monumental shift can only occur if you are profoundly honest enough with yourself to erase the entire list of well-worn reasons you've continuously used to avoid truly facing yourself. Try a simple yet remarkably profound exercise that most people never dare to attempt. Before you go to bed tonight, instead of asking, "Who or what drained me today?" ask yourself with brutal honesty, "What responsibility did I consciously avoid today?" Write it down, not with the intention of self-flagellation, but so that tomorrow, armed with this newfound insight, you can make a different, more empowered move. A seemingly small, yet consistent, choice can subtly shift the entire direction of your life. A strong mind isn't one that possesses all the answers or knows everything. It's one that courageously takes full responsibility, even for the vast unknown. You possess the innate ability to control your actions, even in moments of profound distraction. That, in its purest form, is strength. This willingness to completely own your life, your choices, your reactions, your path, is the undeniable bedrock upon which an unshakable mind is meticulously built. 5. Strength is facing pain, How does one genuinely cultivate a mind so profoundly strong that it subtly makes others hesitate or take pause? The answer, surprisingly, is not found in superficial feel-good mantras like "love yourself" or the often empty assurance that everything will be okay. Real, enduring strength does not emerge from denying pain or attempting to bypass it. It emerges profoundly from the courageous act of facing it head-on. Sometimes the very cracks, the deepest wounds within your soul, are precisely where the transformative light manages to penetrate, illuminating the path to becoming truly unshakable. But ask yourself, with sincere introspection, how many times in your life have you instinctively chosen to run from discomfort or to avoid enduring hardship rather than bravely confronting it? And where ultimately did that avoidance lead you? A mind of true steel is not meticulously forged in environments of comfort and ease. It is painstakingly shaped within the intense crucible of chaos, profound confusion, and the long, solitary, sleepless nights. That, precisely, is where you either tragically break under pressure or, with remarkable resilience, you systematically rebuild yourself stronger and more refined than before. We often mistakenly forget that inner turmoil is not, by any means, a sign of inherent weakness. It is, in fact, raw material, the very clay from which a deeper, more resilient, and utterly formidable version of yourself is meticulously formed. Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and eminent psychiatrist, profoundly articulated in his seminal Workman's Search for Meaning that human beings possess an astonishing capacity to endure almost any suffering, provided they can find a profound sense of meaning within that pain. This brings us to a crucial, probing question. Have you ever truly attempted to find meaning within your suffering, or have you been perpetually preoccupied with merely escaping it? There's a powerful, illustrative story that profoundly demonstrates this hard truth. Pain, ironically, does not destroy you. Avoiding it does. Consider James, a successful engineer, a devoted husband, and a loving father, whose world tragically imploded when his 6-year-old son died in a devastating accident. For months, James existed as a ghost, emotionally shut down, burying himself obsessively in his work, desperately trying to outrun the suffocating grip of grief. But the more intensely he ran, the emptier and more hollow he felt. Then, one day, he stumbled upon his son's old shoes tucked beneath the table, and in that moment he collapsed. For the very first time, he allowed himself to truly cry, to genuinely remember, and that raw, unfiltered experience became his turning point. He began a daily ritual of writing letters to his son, pouring out the profound ache, the lingering guilt, and the precious moments they would never share. A year later, those heartfelt letters transformed into a book that offered solace and profound help to thousands of other grieving parents navigating their own unbearable losses. Perhaps you haven't directly faced a tragedy of James's magnitude, but every single person carries a buried pain, an unaddressed wound. What truly matters is not to run from it, but to courageously sit with it. Start each day with this probing question: what pain am I consciously trying to ignore today? Write it down, not to complain or wallow, but to understand it deeply. Then ask yourself, what invaluable lessons can this pain teach me? When you dare to squarely confront pain, it systematically loses its suffocating grip over you. It transforms from a burden into powerful fuel, just as coal under immense pressure and time transforms into an invaluable diamond. Your mind, too, sharpens profoundly under duress. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, wisely stated, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Without hardship there is no strength." So ask yourself, do you genuinely desire the fleeting comfort of illusions, or the profound, enduring growth that only truth can provide? Pause now, take a deep, grounding breath, and reflect. How many times have you instinctively backed down from a challenge or avoided a necessary confrontation purely to avoid experiencing discomfort or pain? How many pivotal moments in your life have been tragically buried beneath the paralyzing fear of feeling too much? Here's a practical, transformative tool. Choose a painful memory. Now, bravely rewrite it from the perspective of someone who has already successfully navigated through that storm. Don't write as if you're still trapped within the chaos. Write as if you've triumphantly emerged on the other side, recounting your journey with newfound wisdom. Because when the narrative, the very story you tell yourself, changes, your mind inevitably changes with it. A strong mind is not something you are miraculously born with. It is something you painstakingly build, and the raw materials for this profound construction are often the very hardest to hold. Pain, loss, failure. While others flinch, you courageously walk forward. While others complain, you diligently learn. While others fall, you steadfastly grow. And that, precisely, is when people begin to perceive you differently, not because you are impervious to hurt, but because you simply do not break. Once you've transformed pain into your formidable strength, you are truly ready for the next profound lesson, preparing for the worst, not to live in perpetual fear, but to become someone whom nothing, absolutely nothing, can truly break. 6. Expect the worst one of the most quietly powerful and profoundly effective habits cultivated by mentally strong individuals is this: they consistently and deliberately prepare for the worst-case scenario. This isn't because they are inherently pessimists or harbor a bleak outlook on life. It's because they resolutely refuse to live in denial or succumb to naive optimism. They desire no sudden surprises, no unexpected shocks that could potentially rob them of their hard-won clarity or inner composure. This strategic preparedness is precisely what makes them formidable, even dangerous, to those who seek to manipulate or control. You simply cannot break someone who has already made a profound and unwavering peace with the possibility of failure, who has already contemplated and accepted the most challenging outcomes. Have you ever observed the individual who subtly unsettles others the most? It's rarely the one who is loudly screaming, furiously complaining, or overtly expressing their distress. Instead, it's often the one sitting silently amidst the chaos, their face utterly unchanged, calmly watching the storm approach as if they have been expecting it all along. People, in their immediate confusion, often label such individuals as cold, but it's not coldness. It is Stoicism, applied at its highest, most profound level. Marcus Aurelius, with his unparalleled wisdom, once wrote, "The wise man sees in the misfortune of others what he should avoid." This timeless insight implies that the wise do not passively wait for disaster to strike before they bravely learn how to face it. They meticulously observe, deeply reflect, and proactively prepare. They courageously ask the uncomfortable, probing questions that most people diligently avoid. What if someone I deeply love dies unexpectedly? What if my job suddenly disappears overnight? What if I am profoundly betrayed by the person I trust most? These are not questions posed to torment themselves, but rather to systematically bulletproof their minds, to inoculate themselves against a paralyzing shock of unforeseen adversity. In the world of investing, Howard Marks, one of Wall Street's most astute strategists, famously stated, "Risk is what's left when you think you've thought of everything." He meticulously avoids entering any deal without first playing out the absolute worst-case scenario. In his mind, this isn't due to a lack of confidence, but rather a profound understanding that it's not inherent failure that truly devastates. It's the paralyzing surprise of it. Ask yourself this critical question. When was the last time you genuinely imagined the worst-case scenario in a significant area of your life? And conversely, when was the last time you completely broke down or were utterly blindsided because you never once considered that such an event could ever happen? Here's a powerful, practical exercise to cultivate this vital Stoic habit. At the close of each week, select one specific area of your life, perhaps work, your relationships, your health, or your finances. Now, in meticulous detail, without any filters or self-deception, write down the absolute worst thing that could realistically happen in that particular space. Then, directly underneath, write down precisely how you would respond to that scenario. What would be your comprehensive backup plan? Who could you genuinely lean on for support during such a crisis? After completing this exercise, put your phone down, listen to the steady rhythm of your own heartbeat. If you are still breathing normally, without flinching or recoiling, you are steadily moving closer to becoming truly unshakable. People do not fear you because you are wealthy or inherently intelligent. They fear your remarkable capacity to remain unperturbed, to not be rattled. They fear witnessing you face profound loss and yet steadfastly refuse to fall apart. They fear you for being meticulously prepared for eventualities that they themselves don't even dare to imagine. Your profound inner calm paradoxically exposes their own inherent fragility. Consider the formidable presence of Mike Tyson as he stepped into the boxing ring. There was no trash talk, no pretense of smiles. His face was almost utterly blank, as if the fight had already been meticulously played out in his mind 100 times over. Tyson didn't merely defeat opponents with raw muscle. He conquered them with a calculated numbness, a deep resilience forged in the crucible of poverty, abuse, and having absolutely nothing left to lose. Preparing for the worst does not by any means make you cold or detached. It profoundly makes you immune to paralyzing shock and inaction. Most people instinctively avoid thinking about pain or potential disaster because they are terrified of it. But you, on this Stoic path, choose to open the door to discomfort, too. Invite it to sit at your table and to courageously ask, "What valuable lesson are you carrying for me?" A final crucial question for you. If you were to lose absolutely everything today, your reputation, your financial resources, your most cherished relationships, what fundamentally would still remain intact within you? A truly strong mind does not need to roar like a formidable lion. It merely needs to remain still, utterly unmoved, while the entire world around it trembles. And sometimes that profound, quiet calm is more than enough to silence an entire room. Once you grow accustomed to strategically welcoming the worst-case scenario into your contemplation, the next vital step becomes remarkably natural and intuitive. 7. Power is not reacting in the grand, intricate tapestry of life. The majority of our most intense, often regrettable, reactions stem directly from our futile attempts to control aspects that were, in their fundamental essence, never truly ours. To begin with, this includes what others choose to say, how they choose to treat us, the unpredictable behavior of strangers, or the ultimate outcome of complex events. But here's the raw, undeniable truth, a liberating insight. We simply cannot, by any stretch of will, control what others think, what they decide to do, or how they genuinely feel. Reacting impulsively, giving in to every fleeting emotion, is often merely a desperate, unconscious attempt to reclaim control over something that was never truly within our grasp. However, there is one profound, empowering aspect over which we possess absolute, unwavering control. How choose to respond? We have the inherent power to choose calmness. We have the option to choose silence. We have the capacity to choose objective observation. That, precisely, is our unique and powerful role in the intricate game of life. The rest, inevitably, belongs to life itself, to other individuals, and to the unpredictable currents of the world. And we do not, under any circumstance, have to fiercely fight for it. Epictetus, the wise Stoic philosopher, profoundly stated, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. When you allow yourself to lose your temper, to fly into a rage, you have, in that very moment, effectively handed over the precious control of your mind to someone else." And the truly frightening part is that they often don't have to exert much effort at all. A single comment, a subtle look, and you are already completely derailed, your composure shattered. Non-reaction, therefore, is not a sign of weakness or passive tolerance. It is, in fact, the formidable strength to accept that not every perceived battle, not every trivial slight, is genuinely worth sacrificing your inner peace for. You do not have to relentlessly pursue the last word in every discussion. You do not have to win every single argument, because the true, enduring winner is the individual who possesses the quiet strength to walk away without needing to defeat anyone, without needing to prove a point. Listen carefully to this story, not because it's dramatic, but because you might, with unexpected clarity, see yourself reflected within it. Sometimes witnessing someone else navigate a profound life lesson can serve as an incredibly powerful awakening for us. Andrew, a dedicated high school teacher, is not wealthy or overtly powerful, yet his students hold him in deep respect, and his colleagues genuinely admire him. This respect stems not from his strictness, but from his unshakable composure. One day, a student's parents stormed into the school, their voices laced with palpable fury, demanding Andrew's immediate dismissal for alleged discrimination. They shouted at him relentlessly in the hallway, loud enough for entire classrooms to distinctly hear. Andrew, remarkably, said nothing. He simply listened silently, his eyes calmly fixed on the irate parents. When they finally exhausted their rage and stopped shouting, not because they had calmed down, but because they simply ran out of steam, Andrew, with unwavering composure, simply said, "I understand you're worried about your child. I'll file a report with the principal as per protocol." He offered no explanations, no self-defense, no counter-arguments. Yet the entire school leadership unequivocally stood by him because no one could genuinely believe that someone so profoundly composed could possibly be unfair or unjust. His very stillness spoke volumes. It effectively reflected the parents' irrational overreaction back upon them. This is the pivotal shift. Non-reaction is not merely tolerance. It is the quiet, formidable stance of an individual who intimately understands the profound value of unwavering stability. Like a robust building that remains unmoving during a mild earthquake, you simply know it is fundamentally solid. If you're wondering where to begin cultivating this profound power, start small. When confronted with a pointless online argument, someone cutting in line, or a rude, unsolicited comment, resist the instinctive urge to reply, to speak, or to engage. Instead, just observe yourself in that precise moment. Do not react. Allow your silence to become a powerful mirror, so others can truly hear their own internal noise reflected back at them. Nietzsche, with his characteristic intensity, once warned, "He who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster." When you react in the precise manner that others desire, you are, in essence, inadvertently handing them the power to shape your very character. They pull your strings, and you, tragically, mistake their manipulation for making your own choices. The truly dangerous part is that you won't even immediately notice this subtle encroachment, because reactivity often feels righteous, as if you are courageously defending truth, honor, or justice. But in profound reality, you are merely being pulled into a game where the rules were never yours to begin with. You may believe you are in control, but you are being led step by predictable step, from raw feeling to impulsive action. A strong mind is not one that relentlessly wins debates. It is one that simply doesn't need them. It does not need to raise its voice to prove anything, because it inherently knows its worth is not up for debate. When you consciously choose to stop reacting, you begin, profoundly, to live by your own, meticulously defined standards. That, precisely, is when no one can truly manipulate you with their words, their looks, or even their calculated silence. If you are genuinely ready to cultivate a mind so steady, so unshakable, that it compels others to pause, not because you threaten them, but because you simply do not waver, then embrace the profound power of non-reaction. Start living as if nothing, absolutely nothing, can truly pull you out of your centered self, because that ultimately is how you become the kind of individual others both deeply respect and perhaps subtly fear without ever uttering a single loud word. 8. Critical thinking is the sharpest weapon. Truly powerful minds possess a formidable weapon that no one, under any circumstance, can ever truly take away. A sharp, fiercely independent spirit that resolutely refuses to submit to intellectual laziness. In the ongoing fight against a pervasive mediocrity of modern life, against shallow public opinion, and against impulsive, knee-jerk emotional reactions. Critical thinking stands as the sharpest, most effective blade you can possibly forge. But it is crucial to understand that no one is miraculously born with this capacity. Critical thinking is not some innate gift. It is, in fact, a relentless battlefield, a daily internal struggle where you must constantly and diligently interrogate yourself. Why do I truly believe this? Who or what is subtly influencing my thoughts? Are my words genuinely shaped by real lived experience, or are they merely hollow echoes of the prevailing crowd? It is an unrelenting showdown between your habitual, unthinking self and your conscious, awakened self. And your victory in this internal battle is not measured by how many people agree with your conclusions, but rather by the quiet, profound clarity that systematically emerges each time you resolutely refuse to swallow an unexamined opinion or passively accept a popular narrative. You do not need to control the entire world. Your singular purpose is to control how you choose to respond to it. But to achieve that level of mastery, you must diligently learn to rethink, to think deeper, and to think differently than the masses. This means that when someone casually states, "Everyone does it," you must pause and bravely ask, who, precisely, is everyone? And why should I uncritically conform to their ways? When news headlines relentlessly flood your senses, you consciously pause and ask, what crucial information is missing here? What perspective is being deliberately omitted? This isn't about being contrarian for its own sake, but about creating ample mental space within your mind for profound truth to take root, before raw emotion or external noise can irrevocably hijack your judgment. The profound irony is that we exist in the so-called information age, yet the vast majority of us have never been systematically taught how to genuinely think. We often consume knowledge in a manner akin to fast food, quick, easy, and ultimately undigested. Then, predictably, we wonder why we consistently feel anxious, profoundly exhausted, and utterly lost amidst the vast sea of data. A truly strong mind is not one that simply holds the most facts or accumulates the most information. It is one that instinctively knows when to question everything. Every single time you find yourself hurt by someone's words, ask yourself with genuine curiosity, why did that particular comment upset me? What deep-seated fear or insecurity did it inadvertently touch? Every time you feel a surge of anger, consciously pause and ask, what am I truly defending here, objective truth, or merely my fragile ego? The very moment you begin consciously questioning, instead of impulsively reacting, that is the pivotal moment when no one, absolutely no one, can truly control you anymore. No. Practicing this profound discipline doesn't have to be overly complicated. Each day, choose one deeply held belief you've always maintained about yourself, about others, or about the world, and deliberately place it under a rigorous mental microscope. When was the last time you genuinely changed your mind about something significant or courageously admitted that you were profoundly wrong? If you cannot recall such an instance, honestly ask yourself, am I truly living a conscious, evolving life, or am I merely repeating an outdated, pre-programmed mental script? In every single conversation you engage in, instead of frantically waiting for your turn to argue or impose your viewpoint, consciously try listening, truly, deeply listening, to understand what genuine perspective or underlying motivation is driving the other person's point. This is hard. It is often painfully hard because it vehemently demands that you set aside your ego and courageously take the side of objective truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable or doesn't flatter your preconceived notions. A strong mind does not need to emerge victorious in every single debate. It merely needs to meticulously avoid squandering its invaluable energy on debates that genuinely do not matter. Like a skilled soldier carefully selecting the optimal battlefield, a critical thinker thoughtfully chooses where to direct their precious energy and attention. True strength lies not in knowing absolutely everything, but in discerning with unwavering clarity what is not genuinely worth believing, what is not worth reacting to, and what is simply not worth holding on to. So, ask yourself with profound honesty, of all the myriad things you currently believe, how many are truly authentic Calliers, and how many were merely programmed into you by external influences? Remember, while no one can ever fully control their external circumstances, every single person possesses the inherent capacity to control how they choose to interpret those circumstances. Critical thinking does not make you stubborn or rigid. It profoundly makes you unmanipulable. You become less easily convinced by superficial arguments and less easily triggered by external provocations. You transform into the kind of individual whom others genuinely don't know how to persuade, and that unwavering autonomy, paradoxically, subtly unsettles them. You do not need to shout to prove your strength. You merely need to think deeply enough that your words, when you choose to utter them, have the quiet power to make others fall silent, prompting their own introspection. And that profound, transformative journey begins today, with the very next time you pause and ask yourself, with sincere intent, have I really thought this through? We've now diligently explored 8 profound principles for building a mind so remarkably strong that the world cannot help but take profound notice. There's no need to raise your voice, no need to relentlessly prove anything. Sometimes, a quiet, unwavering strength speaks louder than any words, and it can, by its very presence, subtly make others feel small, without a single word being uttered. That kind of genuine power is not magically bestowed. It is born from a long, often unseen journey. A journey where you cease living for the fleeting approval of others and bravely begin living by what is unequivocally right for your authentic self. It's a journey where you come to the liberating realization that no one is coming to miraculously save you, and, paradoxically, that is the greatest, most empowering truth that could ever befall you. It's a path where you stop frantically running from the discomfort of loneliness and finally, courageously sit down for an honest, profound conversation with yourself. A truly formidable mind does not seek to dominate others. It simply cannot be controlled. It consciously chooses what to think, when to remain silent, and how to act with unwavering intention. In an age where almost everyone is constantly reacting, the rare, courageous few who pause to genuinely think are the ones who profoundly stand out. That rarity, that unwavering self-possession, is power. If you found this video valuable and it resonated deeply within you, please don't hesitate to hit the like button right now. Your support helps us reach more individuals who are earnestly seeking this transformative wisdom. I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. What part of this message truly made you stop and think? What specific challenge are you currently pushing through? Or what significant project are you diligently working on? Your insights might be precisely what someone else needs to hear, exactly when they need it most. And if this profound journey of inner growth speaks to your soul, if you're committed to building an unshakable mind, then hit that subscribe button. There is so much more wisdom, so many more insights, and practical strategies yet to come, all designed to help you cultivate a powerful mindset, take absolute control of your life, and become the strongest, most authentic version of yourself. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.